All right, so welcome to the next video in polynomials, which is going to be multiplication. All right, so essentially what we're doing here is, first off, we're going to start off with multiplying a monomial by a bi or a trinomial, okay? And what that looks like is just the distributive property. Basically, I take the number that's right outside and I multiply it out to both or all terms. So 4 times x, 4x, 4 times 3 is 12. So that's what that would look like. Next example, I multiply out the y times the y, which is y, and when you multiply two y's together, that's y squared, and then y times negative 2, which is negative 2y. Okay. Next is if I multiply negative 2y. Now keep in mind, this is whenever you have a variable multiplying other variables, you just add the exponents together. You just add, so in this case the exponent is 1, so you would add 1 to all the exponents on there. So negative 2y times 4y squared is going to be a negative 8y, and since this is 2 and that's 1, that's going to end up being 3. Negative 2y times 3y is going to be negative 6y, and this is a exponent 1. That's an exponent 1, so this is going to be exponent 2. And then negative 2y times negative 5 is a positive 10y. Okay? And that's really just the distributive property. All right? Now, things start to get fun when you are multiplying two binomials together. Okay? And that's when you've heard probably the FOIL acronym, first, outer, inner, last, where basically you multiply the first two terms together, be the first, then the last two terms, the outer two terms together, then the inner two terms together, which is, I'll do it in purple, the middle two terms together, and then you do the last two terms together. Okay, and sorry, I kind of got a mix of numbers, but there you have it. Pretty much the first two terms, the outer two terms, the inner two terms, and the last two terms. Okay? I also like to just, if this helps, if not, I literally take the first term and multiply it almost like distributing to everything in the second parentheses, and then I take the second term, my first parentheses, and I multiply it to everything in the second parentheses. That's pretty much doing the same thing. And if you notice, that's kind of what they're doing here. So you take the first term and you multiply it, and they just did it underneath to everything in the second term. Then you take the second term and you multiply it to everything in the second parentheses. Okay? And let's do a couple of examples. So I'm going to take the y and multiply it by the y in the other parentheses and the 8 in the other parentheses. Y times y, that's y to the first becomes y to the second power. Then y times 8 becomes y, or 8 times y. Then we take the second term and multiply it to everything in the second parentheses. So 5 times y is 5y, 5 times 8 is 40. And then you combine your like terms. So you have y squared plus 13y plus 40. And that's your answer. These just take a little bit of practice. So same thing that I'm going to do before. I'm going to take the first term, multiply it to everything in the second term. So 2y times 3y becomes 6y squared. 2y times 4 becomes 8y. Then we take the 5 and multiply it by everything in the second set of parentheses. 5 times 3y is 15y. 5 times 4 is 20. And then you combine your like terms. So I have 6y squared plus 23y plus 20. And that's your answer. Okay, so again, these are just a bunch of multiplication problems. So we do 4y times 2y, 4y times, keep in mind this is a negative 5. Okay, so 4y times 2y is 8y squared. 4y times negative 5 is a negative 20y. Now we take 3y and we multiply it out just like we did before. 3 times 2y is 6y. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. So again, we have to kind of keep track of our parentheses here, guys, or our positives and negatives here, guys. So we combine our like terms. We have 8y squared minus 14y minus 15. And that's the answer for this example. Next, we take the 3x and we're going to multiply by everything in the second parentheses. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times negative 5 is a negative 15x. Negative y, and we're going to multiply by everything in the second parentheses. So negative y times 2x is going to be negative 2xy. Negative y times a negative 5 now becomes a positive 5y. Now, can I combine anything here? The answer is no. So this is my simplified answer. I cannot simplify it any further. Okay? So, my next set of examples. I have an n squared now. So let's keep in mind what we talked about before. Whenever we have exponents, we really just add the exponents together as long as they're the same base. So n squared times n squared times negative 1. So n squared times n is going to be n cubed. All right, minus n squared. And then we take the 4 and we multiply that out with this second set of parentheses again, plus 4n minus 4. Can I combine anything here? No, we cannot. So we leave it. Now things are starting to get more complicated, but notice the process is the same. So again, 2 times 4 is 8. Then we have a times a, which becomes a squared. B times b, which becomes b squared. Then we do the 5 and we multiply that out. 5 times 4 is 20, and then ab. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And I made a mistake here. What did I do? I just multiplied the 2ab by the 4ab. And I forgot to multiply it out with the negative 4. So I'm just going to attach that to the end here in the green because that's where it should be. Negative 4 times 2ab is going to be a negative 8ab. So can I combine some things? I sure can, and I'm going to. So I have 8ab, a squared, b squared, and then I'm going to have a positive 12ab minus 20, and that is my answer. Okay. All right. Now notice these last two examples are a binomial multiplied by a trinomial. Now the same process is going to apply. It says vertical method. We're not going to use the vertical method. We're going to use the method that we're talking about right now. So I'm going to take that first term in my first set in my binomial, and I'm going to multiply it by every single thing, just like I did before. So b times 2b squared is going to be 2b cubed. B times negative 5b is negative 5b squared. And b times 8 is 8b. Same thing here. I'm going to take the 3 and I'm going to multiply it by every single thing. Now, there is really no difference than it was before, only that I'm multiplying it with 3 things as opposed to 2. So 3 times 2b squared is going to be 6b squared. 3 times negative 5b is a negative 15b. And 3 times 8 is a positive 24. So can I combine some like terms? I sure can. I have 5b squared and 6b squared. I have 8b and I have negative 15b. And then the 2 terms that I cannot combine, I'm going to leave exactly the same. So I have 2b cubed, negative 5b squared plus 6b squared is a positive b squared. And then I have 8b minus 15b, which is going to be a negative 7b plus 24. And that is my answer. All right, let's practice with one last example here. So again, just like before, I'm going to take my first term, multiply it with everything in the second parentheses. So I have y cubed minus 5y squared plus 2y. Now I'm going to take my second term of my binomial and I'm going to multiply it with everything in the second set of parentheses. So I have, and I'm just going to actually cheat a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of align things here. So 3 times y squared is 3y squared. 3 times negative 5y is a negative 15y. And then 3 times 2 is a positive 6. Okay, I kind of did this strategically because now look, these line up. So me running out of space kind of helps out. I'm going to combine my like terms. So I'm going to keep the terms that I can't do anything with. And then I'm going to do negative 5y squared plus 3y squared is going to be a negative 2y squared. And then I'm going to have 2y minus 15y, and that's a negative 13y, and then plus 6. And that's my final answer. And that's really just multiplying polynomials. See you in the next video, which is special products.